All right, everybody, go ahead and clap it up. Give yourselves a hand as well. Give yourselves a hand. Go ahead and clap it up. All right, tonight is the Feast of Hachaanaakah, right? So tonight starts the Feast of Hachaanaakah. All right. Does anybody in here know what the Feast of Hachaanaakah is? Anybody in here know what the Feast of Hachaanaakah is? Go ahead, sis.
Celebrate the victory over the Greeks.
Damn right. Get a sister hand. That's exactly what it is. You understand? That's exactly what it is. There was a time when blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, like now, how we were under the captivity of the Romans, and before the Romans, we were under the captivity of the Greeks. Everybody understand? So during this time when we were in the land of Judea, our land, you understand, there was a great battle. There was a battle between the Greeks. There was a battle between Israel, blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. And think about the Bible like now. How now blacks, Hispanics, and North American Indians, how we are absolutely, shalom, sis, how you doing? What's going on? And just how now we get pulled over by the cops. You get a bullet in your head by some racist oppressor without a badge or a gun, like the brother did Ahmaud Arbery, like the oppressors did Ahmaud Arbery, the McMichael boys, right? That was going on in our land by the Greeks, by our oppressor, 6,000 years ago. And so when you think about that, somebody give me First Maccabees. I need a brother to get First Maccabees, right? The 54th chapter. Start at 44. Somebody hold First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 44. All right? And we're going to get into this thing, all right? If anybody has any questions, of course, tonight's topic will be Hachaanaakah, because that is what we're celebrating. We're celebrating the victory, our oppressor's defeat at the hands of our forefathers. Everybody understand? Okay. So somebody give me First Maccabees. Salakia, bear with me. And give me chapter 1. No, verse 44, Baba Kusha. And for brothers and sisters that don't know, the Bible is a real history book. These are all records. Everybody understand? Like how our oppressor makes life out to be, the Bible out to be a fairy tale, and it's not what this book is. This book is absolute hard, rigid history. That's what the Bible is. These are all records. And these are, the brothers who wrote the Bible were black men. And the brothers who wrote the Bible took a very good account of just what happened in our land, in the land of our oppressors, coming out of Egypt, when we lived in Egypt. Like, that is the people who wrote the Bible, black and Hispanic men. And they took very good records. So when you read the Bible, history in the Bible are congruent. The two are the same thing, right? They both agree with one another. So you can get a history book, and what the brother's about to read, you can look in that history book, and the same exact history that's in this Bible that he's about to read in the First Maccabees, the first chapter, is the same thing in the history book. The same thing in the library, the same thing in the Smithsonian Museum. It's the exact same thing. Everybody understand? All right, go ahead and read that scripture for me, Baba Kushah.
Hachaanaakah, this is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 51.
Mm-hmm.
In the self-same manner wrote he to his whole kingdom and appointed...
Give me 44. Start at 44, Baba Kushah. God.
All right, First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 44.
Mm-hmm.
For the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
Okay, go up, skip me up to verse, let me see where I want to start. Start at verse 14. Nope, start at verse, you know what? Let me see here. Start at verse 1. Just to give everybody a backdrop of what's going on. Start at verse 1. So you can understand the history of what's taking place. Start at verse 1.
This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian...
Okay, does anybody know who Alexander was? Does anybody want to take a guess? Any kids in school? Go ahead, sis. He was a king of what? Huh?
You said what?
I say he was the king of what? There were a lot of kings during that day. There was a lot of kings. You had kings in Egypt, kings in Persia. Alexander.
He was the king of Europe, I think.
He was a king of Rome. To be more specific, get a sister hand. You understand? He was a king. He was a great ruler. And he's recognized throughout the entire earth as being one of the great army or military generals and rulers of all time. Alexander, he was the son of Philip the Macedonian. They came out of Macedonia. This is where our oppressor, the Edomites, the so-called Caucasian man, this is where he comes from. He comes from Macedonia, or the caves of Georgia, Russia. Everybody understand? And his father, Alexander's father, was Philip. They came through and they conquered the entire Eastern civilization. They conquered Egypt. They conquered, you understand, Europe. The real Europeans are not white men. The real Europeans are those Hawaiians in the Hawaiian, the Polynesian, Micronesian, Melanesian islands. That is who the real Europeans are. You understand? Through history. That is the real ethnic Japhetites. The Bible calls them the tribe of Japheth, or the son of Ham, Japheth. And that is who the real the real Europeans are. Everybody understand? And so this king or this ruler, Alexander, he is known throughout all of history. He is known throughout all of history. Tazan, guard, you had a young man sit up here, and then you would sit back there. And so this king Alexander, he descended from a disgusting bastard. He descended from a disgusting bastard by the name of Philip, his father, who just raped and just murdered every innocent, person in the whole entire Eastern Hemisphere. They conquered Egypt. They conquered Cappadocia, Ephesus. These should sound familiar to you because these are the names of the Bible, some of the books of the Bible in the New Testament, right? You got Macedonia. They conquered that land they came out of. They conquered Rome. They conquered Italy, which is who the Romans are, Italians. They conquered Egypt. I mean, that whole entire eastern place, the Asia Minor, was all of Alexander. His navy sailed the seas. His armies fled people's land and murdered them, killed them the same way the oppressor does now. The same way they did to the North American Indian. The same thing happened over 2,000 years ago after Philip came out of Macedonia. Now he has this son, and Alexander rose up to great power when he was 13 years old. When he was 13, his father was still living. But because Alexander was raised under great and strict tutelage from his father and the men that trained his father, he was able at 13 to become a man. And he ruled nations, not just one nation. Right. He ruled nations. He was able to give his men that served under him tax breaks. They didn't have to pay taxes. Those that were in the Greek or the Roman band or the Roman military, they didn't have to pay taxes. He took care of his men for slaughtering people. This is the people that is about to rule over Israel and Judea. Go ahead and read.
First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened after that, Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Kittim, and smitten Darius, king of Persians and Medes, that he reigned.
So stop right there. So right, you have the Persians, who we were under the Assyrians, where you have the Assyrian writing the Hebrew. If anybody ever see that printed looking writing that we write in, that's because we were under the Assyrian captivity. That was Darius, who was the king of Persia at that time. And they came through and slaughtered them. And you know what? Xerxes and Darius, those kings that ruled Persia and the kings that ruled Asia Minor at that time, they were a powerful army as well. They were a very powerful army. They ruled in their era. Everybody has their day. The Egyptians had their day when they was the most mightiest empire on the face of the earth. They marched with men, and the entire earth would shake when they marched. Then you had Xerxes with the Persian military. You had Darius in the Persian military. And here comes this 13-year-old white boy named Alexander, right? That's where he gets the name from, the coined nickname Alexander the so-called Great, because of how great and powerful and mighty he was. The earth today runs off of everything that Alexander had conquered. Your calendar is a pre-Julian, Julius Caesar calendar. The days of the week are Roman gods. The holidays you celebrate in the world are Roman gods. The planets that goddamn no man could own a planet, but the oppressor owns planets. They're all named after Roman gods because of the work that Alexander put in for his people. And now he conquered nations, brother. Conquered nations and got every nation to do exactly what he said to do. Got every nation to do exactly what he said to do by keeping the laws that he wanted them to keep, by eating the foods that he wanted them to eat. And this is something blacks and Hispanics better understand what's so important about being black and Hispanic. You are the problem in America. The oppressor says that niggas and spics are the problems in America because we are the people who will never compromise our integrity to do something that is ungodly.
That's right.
And that has always been the problem on the border. They see us, and this is something, right? The oppressor, you think he's just a racist devil and they just hate black people, but that's not it. In their mind, every nation would do what they have to do to survive, except for blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. That is not our culture. It's not who we are. We are the problem of why other nations can join together with everybody. That they turn on the news and they see Terrence Crutchin getting shot down off his motorcycle out there in Baltimore, Maryland. They see the brother Ahmaud Arbery getting murdered for just jogging. Other nations turn on the TV and say, my God, they over here slaughtering these blacks and Hispanics. Why don't they just comply? Why don't they just get along? Why? This is what they do. Why are they taking a knee on a football? Don't they get millions of dollars? Why would they protest the death of their people? Won't they just dribble and shut up? Why don't they just shut up and dribble? Or shut up and throw the football? Or shut up and play football? They can't understand how we think because how we think is of the Most High. Right. Because we are God's chosen people. Right. And we are always the problem of why a nation can't come together in a melting pot. And we're going to read it right here. Elisha, you take over, you read. He's in the book of Maccabees, the first chapter. And go down to verse 2. No, start at verse 1, but skip me where it says Darius, king of Persians. Read right there.
Say 2 and 1?
No, 1 and 1.
Sir. The book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 1. And it happened.
No. Skip me down to where it says Darius, king of Persians.
Darius, king of Persians. Okay, that's verse 1.
I know it is. That's what says Salakias. Give me down. Take me down to that part. Baba Kusha.
Sir. Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece.
So this was the first king of Greece, Alexander the so-called Great. Keep going to verse 2.
Sir. Verse 2. And made many wars.
Keep going.
And won many strongholds.
Also, Elisha, check to see if we good on the volume as well.
Okay, 1 second.
Go ahead. So this brother, what he just said, what he read was, and made many wars. And that's what I just described. Is we to our Most High in Christ. Once again, give yourselves a hand. Y'all look amazing. Y'all look beautiful. Give yourselves a hand. You understand? The water for every brother and sister that came out tonight to support this truth. You understand? Give yourselves a hand. Y'all look amazing. You look amazing. You look wonderful, beautiful, strong, hardcore. So Most High in Christ to see brothers and sisters come together. This is what was supposed to happen, not Thanksgiving. Right? Not celebrating Thanksgiving and Christmas. These are our holy days right here. Everybody understand? Keep going for me, Baba Gusha.
Verse 2.
And made many wars. Keep going.
And won many strongholds.
And just like I just broke down, this is the oppressor that we're dealing with in Greece. He won many wars and strongholds. He won all of the battles, brother. There was a great speech that Alexander, the so-called Great, gave. And I remember listening to this as a young man when I was in the world. And I said, brother, like, why don't black and Hispanic men have this type of spirit to want to conquer the earth? Right. He was, 23 when he gave that speech? He told his men, he said something so heavy. He said, and this was after a council that he had with all of his wise men, Alexander. And they found that a few of his men betrayed him. They tried to sell him I believe it was that old disgusting African warrior. They like to, black conscious groups like to talk about. What is his name? I forget his name. It's a Hamite too, brother. And he was just an old disgusting Hamite that defeated Alexander the Great. And so his men, they found out that they betrayed Alexander. And he told his whole entire band, his whole entire regiment, his whole entire platoon, he said, haven't I made life easier for you? For you don't pay taxes in the land that we conquered. He said, we've been on many conquests with each other. We've conquered nations. We defeated vast armies, sizes that are 10 times bigger than us. This is the mentality of the oppressor. He's not getting high all day
Right.
like we are. He's 22 and he's conquering nations with his men that are 10 times the size of his army. Everybody understand? And that's when the scriptures say, it says in one many strongholds, because, brother, that oppressor, brother, can fight. The Bible says Esau is a cunning hunter, and that is what they are bred and born to do. And they will kill their mother for $5, They do not care, because that is who they are. And if you don't separate your people from them, then they are going to kill you, like they've been doing for the past 400 years in America.
Right.
Like they've been doing for over 2,000 years in the book of First Maccabees. The book of First Maccabees. Keep going,
Kind, sir. And slew the kings of the earth.
He did what?
Slew the kings of the earth.
Haven't I made life easy? Haven't we won great battles? The Navy, we beat the greatest navies on the Persia had one of the greatest navies on the face of the earth, and Alexander made them look like absolute nothing.
Right.
With his navies. He slew great kings and mighty men and warriors across this entire earth, something that will make you tremble if you don't obey God. You will look to the oppressor's power and say, I got to pick up a gun like the Black Panther Party. I got to pick up that Colt revolver Peacemaker, the AR-15,
right.
the Draco, and you put your trust in that when you should put your trust in the Most High God.
That's right.
Keep going.
Sir.
And we're going to read why you should put your trust in the Most High God and not man. Keep going.
Verse 3. And went through to the ends of the earth.
What does that mean when it says he went through to the ends of the earth? What does that mean?
He went everywhere.
Raise your hand next time. Hold on. Go ahead, Cezanne.
Like I said, he went everywhere.
He went everywhere. Okay, you wanted to say something else?
Oh,
okay, go ahead.
He said it.
Damn right. That's the absolute truth. He went everywhere. At one time, they thought the earth was flat, right? They thought the earth was flat. So that phrase, 4 corners of the earth, because that means every direction you turn. You got 4 directions, north, east, south, west. That's 4. So the 4 corners of the earth means everywhere. There's not a spot on the earth. In his hemisphere, he didn't conquer, man. Everybody paid taxes to the Greeks. Everybody paid taxes to the Romans because of the work that Philip's son, Alexander the so-called Great, established in this earth, man. That's exactly what happened. And that's something blacks, Hispanics, and North American Indians have to understand. You cannot fight this oppressor with guns, man. You cannot be like the Black Panther Party and try to whoop them at their own game. You can't establish a greater air superiority over the oppressor. You put your trust in man and in weapons, and you're going to die.
That's right.
You're going to lose that battle. You have to put your trust in the Most High God. Keep going, now.
Sir. And went through the ends of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And took spoils.
And took what?
Spoils.
You ever heard that term? Anybody ever heard that term? Spoils of war. What is a spoil? Anybody know? This young man up at the front right here, you know what a spoil is? The brother behind him, you know what a spoil is? Somebody know what a spoil is? Somebody give it a shot. What is a spoil? So like it, go ahead, sis. He took great spoils.
Something like land or money or power. Something that you would receive from conquering.
Give a sister a hand. That's exactly what a spoil is. It's something you've taken because you defeated this person or this nation. And that's what a spoil is. It's some good or service. You take over the whole car industry, that's your spoils of war, because now you own Cadillac. Or you go and defeat a country, and now all of the gold that they once had in that country is now yours. That's your spoil. You understand? Right. Keep going.
Sir. Insomuch that the earth was quiet before him.
Keep going, Doc.
Whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up.
Keep going.
Verse 4. And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations.
Keep going.
And kings.
Keep going.
Who became tributaries. Tributaries unto him.
And this is Alexander still talking about, right? And this devil, this oppressor, man, he just took over everything. And that's what I keep telling you for a purpose. He took over everything. The Greeks took over everything. The Romans established the days that you are in now. They established the Julian calendar. That's where the July and August. July is Julius and August is Augustus. Those are 2 old Roman leaders. Everything that they did, you still do now, because the earth is just made, and this side of the world is made Roman because of this man right here, Alexander the Great. This devil This disgusting, evil bastard.
Right.
Keep going.
Hachaanaakah, sir. Whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up.
Keep no.
Oh,
Give me
sorry.
verse 5.
Verse 5, Salah.
Con.
Verse 5. And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die.
Okay, now skip me to verse 14.
Kinda,
Right? So
kinda.
Alexander died. He died at a very young age. I think history says he died around in his 30s. He was a young guy. Right? He rose up in power very young. He died very early. But because of what he did, now his posterity now lives on. So now, directly after this, what the brother's going to read, you got a question? Now go ahead.
Yes, Slocky, sir.
Go ahead.
Hey, we still talking about Alexander, right?
That's Alexander. And he died. What he just read where he said it fell upon him, he perceived he was sick and died, now he's dead. So now, put your mind there, Alexander is dead.
Most High in Christ.
Right? Damn right. Most High in Christ. He's
Most High in
dead.
Christ.
So now, some new ruler of Greece, he comes up and gains power. Now he's about to come to old Israel, to Judea, where these Negroes and these Hispanics and Native Indians are. All the people that make life well. The nation of people that were conquered by the Egyptians that once built Egypt. And they see that they once built Babylon and that we once built Assyria. And so now they looking to go get the people who built these great nations and empire. They looking to come conquer us. Keep going.
Hachaanaakah, sir. Verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen.
Okay, skip me up to 10. I want you to hear the devil's name who took over after Alexander the Great. Skip to 10
Hachaanaakah,
and then
sir.
read there.
Hachaanaakah, sir. Verse 10. And there came out of them a wicked root.
A what?
A wicked root.
A what kind of root?
Wicked root.
This is saying out of them, not out of us, but out of the Greeks. After Alexander, there came a wicked root. What does that mean, a wicked root? Some disgusting bastard like Alexander and his father.
Right.
Some oppressor who is just like Donald Trump times 10. And this is who Antiochus was. He was a disgusting, filthy piece of garbage.
That's right.
Worse than Alexander, worse than his father Philip. This is who he was. Before Alexander, in some shape, form, or fashion, he might have allowed you to keep your God, not Antiochus. He wanted you to worship the God he wanted you to worship. He didn't give people an option. And we're going to read it here in a second. Keep going.
Hachaanaakah, sir.
Now skip me to 14.
Hachaanaakah, sir.
No, skip me to 11.
Verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men.
What kind of men?
Wicked men.
Your pastor.
Wicked men.
Your reverend.
Wicked men.
Your imam.
Wicked men.
Your politician.
Wicked men.
Keep going.
Hachaanaakah, who persuaded many.
What did they do?
Persuaded many.
I have a dream
Persuaded many.
that one day
Persuaded many.
black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls at the freedom of justice. I have a dream.
Persuaded many.
I have a dream that one day the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit at the same table of brotherhood. I have a dream.
Persuaded many.
And now you go and you march for freedom, which you think is freedom and justice and so-called equality, which doesn't exist. Equality is something made up in a black Christian's mind.
Right.
There is no equality on the face of the earth. And these wicked men like Dr. King and your pastor and preacher, they persuaded many, y'all.
That's right.
They was able to persuade everybody. They was able to say, listen, I have a dream, man, and one day we going to just come together with the Greeks. We should just do whatever the Greeks tell us to do. That's what Martin Luther King Jr. did. Ain't that what Jesse Jackson did? All for Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton to be told that they should not be at Ahmaud Arbery's trial.
Right.
Just for some oppressor. All that work that Martin Luther King Jr. think he put in, his idiotic works got him killed and us killed. That's what Dr. King's dream got us, man. It was a failure, it was a nightmare, and we are living in it right now.
That's right.
And these are the men that were over us in the time when Antiochus was the ruler of Greece. When Antiochus wanted everybody to come together. Read that again.
Hachaanaakah, sir. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men.
Wicked men. Keep going.
Who persuaded many.
Keep going.
Saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen, that are round about us.
Ain't that what Dr. King did, Elisha?
Kind
Ain't that what Dr. King did, Tazan?
Right.
Ain't that what he did? He went and made a covenant with our oppressor. He made a 1965 Voting Rights Act bill so that blacks and Hispanics could benefit in some way, form, or fashion off of, the oppressor's racism. Let me ask you a question. Who benefits off that bill today?
The oppressor, sir.
What in specific, who? You're right, it is an oppressor. White women benefit off of civil rights more than any other ethnic group on the
That's
face
right.
of the earth. Thanks to Dr. King's dream. Go ahead.
Salakia, sir. And also, all these other heathens, they benefit. And today, in modern time, especially the LGBT community.
Absolutely. Get a brother a hand, because what he said was absolute truth. Everybody benefits off of your struggle and off of his dream than the people that his so-called dream was even for. And that's the problem when you integrate with your oppressor. Go ahead.
Do you mind explaining why you say the white woman is the main beneficiary?
Somebody just look it up on your Google machines. Look it up. Somebody look it up. Look up who benefits off of civil rights more. I mean, who benefits the most off of civil rights, right? You just look that up and then you tell me what it says. It's not black women who are the minority in the country. It's not black men who are the minority in the country. How could white women benefit more off of civil rights when they're not the majority? When they're not the minority in their own country. It's supposed to help minorities. But because what your stupid dream, Dr. King, and what that failure of a dream he had, the woman who enslaved more black women than white men benefit off of slavery. Anybody know the numbers of how many white women own slaves? 44% of white women own slaves. 44%. Now she benefits off of the murder, the rape, the ripping apart the black babies out of your black mother's arms than anybody else. Because his dream was a failure. And in the Bible, it's a great sin to join all people together. That is a heathen custom. This is what the brother's going to read. Go ahead, Elisha. You got those numbers out?
Well, Salakia, sir, I typed in exactly what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that pops up is white women benefit most from affirmative action.
There you go, sis. The oppressors women who owned your mothers and our foremothers and forefathers. They were cruel. There's a book called, and General Muhammad always brings this out. Shame on me for not remembering this book. It's not Go Tell the Children Our Story.
Black Mom?
It's She Owned Me, or it's something to that effect. The title of the book is something like She Owned Me or something like that. And it talks about the slave narratives of black slaves who were owned by white women. And it dispels the myth that white women were so docile in slavery, as if they had nothing to do with your struggle or with our, you understand, slavery and harm and rape and that murder. And there's another book called Medical Apartheid, where it talks about all of the physical sacrifices that black women were forced to make in slavery in that barn when they were getting their wombs ripped open like you tear a piece of paper.
Right.
And they ripped these black and Hispanic women open in slavery for the medical benefit of white women. All of your obstetrician gynecology studies come from the black women in slavery getting their vagina, excuse my language, getting their private areas ripped open while there was no sedatives, getting their wombs cut open while there was no sedatives to sedate these women to put them asleep. They on the barn screaming. And that book, they said, the slaves said that it was so loud, it was so much screams, you can hear them from the big house, from the mansion. That's how much those black women were screaming. So this white woman who benefits off the Dr. King's dream can come now, and now she got all the health and medical advancements in the world because of black women. White women are just as much of the devil as her counterpart, the so-called white man.
That's right.
And she should bow and kiss every black and Hispanic and Native American woman's feet for the treatment that her man committed against black, Hispanic, and Native American Indian women. They benefit more, and that's the problem. The problem is what the scripture just said. These powerful black and Hispanic leaders in the black community, they come and persuade many with their good teachings and their good preachings and how good they make you feel. And they say, what? Let us make a covenant around the heathen.
Kind, sir. Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us.
You are not allowed to make any covenants with your oppressor or with your enemies. That's in the Bible. That's a law in the Bible. You cannot go and make laws with him to say, well, listen, if you give us this, we give you this. That cannot happen, man. That is never supposed to happen because you know what's going to happen? 50 years later, white women are going to benefit more than black women.
Right.
More than black men. More than Hispanic women. That is what's going to happen because you don't know what the hell you're doing. So you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't go try to take black people's, the integrity we have and then sell it off to the oppressor because that's exactly what Dr. King did. Before slavery, it's not before slavery, before integration, when we were still segregated, black women weren't committing abortions at the rate they're doing right now. Black men weren't murdering each other at the rate we're doing right now because we had one another, and you knew we were all you had. You knew that you couldn't trust the oppressor because you knew he was going to lynch you. Lynchings were happening in the 1960s. So you knew this devil will lynch you. We can't go to the same school with you. Why? Our children function better when they are separate from the oppressor. When a black woman or black man is teaching them, look at the numbers on that of how good our children do in school when they're separate amongst other nations of children. We function better. We do better. Our marriages last. Marriages, black women, what was it? You read that in a class before, Elisha. It blew my mind. That black women get divorced more than they get married. 55%. Meaning, if you're a black and Hispanic woman, saying you have no hope of getting married. You have no hope because he's going to divorce you or you're going to divorce him within 6 months. That's what the brother read a stat before in class. Like, this didn't go on before segregation, before integration. But then Dr. King came with his dream to persuade many, and he persuaded us to let us make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. And that's always the problem with blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. That's one of the problems, is poor leadership. Poor leadership. That's what drives a black woman to go and murder her baby. Because the excuse a black woman gives in America for why they can't afford a baby is because they don't make enough money. That is the number one reason black and Hispanic girls give when they go and murder their babies. They don't make enough money. Well, little black sister, when we were segregated, you would have not even worried about going to work and make money. Why? Because your husband, he was the sole provider. You would have gotten jobs in the 50s and 60s taking care of little white babies, being an au pair to some oppressor. Money was never a problem in the 50s and 60s. Big Mama raised 12 children with no house, not no house, no job, no car, no welfare, no WIC. She had granddaddy.
Right.
And he was able to go out there and make money, and everybody was able to live in that house with 13 children.
Right.
Now you make more money than she does in 2021, and now your excuse is you don't make enough money, and you don't have any kids, and every time you get pregnant, you get aborted. That's thanks to integration. That's thanks to some black leader coming in and saying, let's make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. That is where that comes from. That is where our struggle, our suffer, our pain comes from. It's poor black leaders. There is no reason black people should be starving. No matter how poor you are, it does not give you the right to starve to death.
Right.
Some black leader that accepts $30 billion. How much was the number? $500 billion? $500 billion. That's the number that the Christian churches have stolen from black people. So when you want to know why you don't have money to feed your babies and why you can't take care of children, thank Dr. King.
Right.
Thank Malcolm X. Thank all of those black leaders that wanted to join us with some heathen. Malcolm X was no better. Guess who he joined us to? Arabs. Now guess who owns all the fried chicken places? Arabs. Absolute Arabs. Guess who goes to prison more? Arabs or black men? Black Muslims. That's right. Thank you, Malcolm X. Thank you. We appreciate your service. Thank you, Dr. King. You got our black women raped more, getting kidnapped more, getting abortions more, on welfare, on WIC more, because of his dream of let's make a covenant with all the heathens that are round about us.
That's right.
That is what has taken place, and that happened over 2,000 years ago. Right. And that's what I want you to understand tonight. I want you to understand that this is not unique, the situation that we live under, the hell and the poverty and the extreme destitution that we live with. That is not unique. We did it 2,000 years ago. We always had sellouts in the black and Hispanic community. Coming out of Egypt, you had sellouts that wanted to go back to Egypt. Korah and Dathan and the princes of the assembly. You had sellouts in the Assyrian captivity, and you had sellouts in the Greek captivity. That is the problem. Black men or black women who are more willing to go and serve the oppressor because it makes life easier for you than to just suffer and have your integrity and keep your integrity and maintain your discipline. I would rather starve to death than go and eat pork. I would rather never have sex than to have sex with a whore, than to throw my sister away. That's what I would rather do, just die. I would rather die. Like the sister in the Bible who had 7 sons, and all of them got murdered by that heathen king because they just refused to eat pork.
Right.
But now you know what you would do? You would go and eat that pork to save your life. That's not our customs, man. We've always had integrity, but because of sellouts and leaders like Dr. King, they make you lose your integrity.
That's right.
They make you think that it's better to live than to die. It is better to die than it is to lose your integrity, than it is to go be a whore. You don't have to be a whore. What, you trying to make money so you're going to prostitute yourself? Why don't you just be homeless and have integrity? What, you going to go and sell your sisters and be a pimp and a whoremonger, a purveyor of your own women? Why don't you just go and be poor and broke and live under a bridge somewhere and keep your integrity? That is the people who we are. But sellouts, brother, Christian leading sellouts like Dr. King, like Jesse Jackson, like T.D. Jakes, always come out the woodwork, and they see the hard, rough life we live in being free, and they say, well, damn all this integrity stuff. I would just rather go make a covenant with the heathen so we could just live in harmony and peace with everybody, eat whatever they want us to eat, and we got money. We got wealth. We don't have to live under bridges. We don't have to die. We could just live to be 80. What are you trying to do, live to you're 100 years old? Why don't you just die and keep your integrity, man? Why don't you die like a man or die like a woman?
That's right.
That is more honorable. You keep your honor that way than to go and make a covenant with the heathen. Keep going.
Kind of, sir. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
This is it right here. Read that part again, Not.
Kind of, sir. For since we departed from them.
Since we departed from them, since we were free, right? They so-called free slaves, 1865. We free now. We free. And this time they freed us. Well, not freed us, but we wasn't under nobody's rulership. King Solomon built the temple. We wasn't in Assyrian captivity at this time. This is a small part of our history where we wasn't under anybody's authority or rulership. Salaki, we wasn't under anybody's authority or rulership. And we were living hard and rough. Read that again.
Kind, sir. For since we departed from them.
Since we departed from them. Since we not in Egypt no more. Since we not in Greece. We not, listen, I'd rather, it's slaves that would have rather, you can go look this up. When they said the slaves was free, there were slaves that stayed. There were slaves that said, I would rather just be a slave because it's easier to be a slave than a free man.
Right.
And that's what you don't get told growing up. You think you got all this freedom and you're going to be free. You have to work when you're free. You actually got to go and work. You the one that got to go and manage all these stores. Now the oppressor gets to manage your life. He tells you when to wake up, what to celebrate, what to do. But imagine if you had the power to do that. Right. Imagine if you had the freedom and the liberty to do that. You wouldn't know what the hell to do.
Right.
You understand? You wouldn't know what to do. Keep going.
Kind, sir. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
Since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. What does that mean? Somebody tell me what that means. Somebody tell me what that means. Since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Anybody know? Go ahead, Elisha.
Kind, sir. Since we departed from our oppressors, we have had much sorrow, meaning it's been a rough time.
It's been a rough time. It's been rough being free.
Kinda,
You're a free man now. It's hard being a sister that's free with nobody to tell you what to do. You don't know what to do. You would lose your mind being all that liberty you giving. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's similar to like the Haitian Revolution, and they the only ones who really was able to successfully get away from the oppression.
Damn right.
But since they did, you get sanctioned, and you don't get the same benefits as every other country.
Give that brother a hand, man. That's a perfect example. The Haitians, like he said, the Haitians, the tribe of Levi, they were the only people on the face of the earth to ever defeat their oppressors, successfully defeat their oppressors. Shalom, what's going on now? They were the only people to ever defeat their oppressors. And since then, the Haitians have been living rough. They've been living hard, Doc. They're the poorest country on the face of the earth. Everybody understand? You know why? Because they departed from the French. That is who their oppressors were and their captors were in the very beginning, were the French. And they were able to do what? They beat them, defeated them, and now they said, well, damn, we want to go back to being goddamn slaves because at least we had order and structure. Now everybody's killing each other down there.
Right.
Now everybody's poor. Nobody got anything to eat. Haiti is an absolute destitute and poor country on the face of the earth, man. And they are free people. They were free people. So that's a perfect example, and that is what is happening right here. Imagine us like the Haitians after the Haitian Revolution. We have nobody over us. So these sellouts say, man, it's better to just go back to be a slave than it is to be a free man living on our own.
Right.
That is a very coward way of thinking. That thinking right there. And we're going to keep going. Keep going now. He's going to keep reading some more on it.
Verse 12. So this device pleased them well.
So this what?
This device pleased them well.
Getting abortions.
This device pleased them well.
Going and, putting weave in your hair.
This device pleased them well.
Going and murdering your own brothers and your own sisters.
This device pleased them well.
These devices that the oppressor have used against blacks and Hispanics, it pleased us, man.
That's right.
Instead of a black woman being sweet and somber and needy of all things from a man, now our women are what? Whores. In the strip club, on a pole, twerking and stripping and performing sexual acts on some strange man. That is what our women have become in this place. That is who our sisters have become, and our brothers are no better.
Right.
Black men absolutely love whores.
Right.
At one time, we didn't love whores. At one time, we loved a woman who was sweet and nurturing and caring and motherly and somber, very contrite, very broken, very needy of a man. Everything a woman is. Everything feminine. Now sisters are masculine. Now you got to protect yourself from your baby mother. Now you got to protect yourself from your baby's father.
Right.
At one time, life wasn't this way. Life was not this way for us, but because of poor leadership, because of the devices that our oppressor have used against us for so long, it pleased us, man, because it pleased that poor leadership that we had. Keep going.
Sir. Verse 13. Then certain of the people were so forward herein.
Then what?
Then certain of the people were so forward herein.
Keep going.
That they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen.
Keep going.
Verse 14. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen.
Now go down to 16, brother. This is give y'all what's going on. Fill y'all in on what's going on. These oppressors, these heathens, these Greeks, now that they see the leadership is down with it, now they're like, okay, now we got them. We got them on the hook. They hold a little piece of pork out in front of your leaders, and they say, well, listen, if you want to live, you got to eat this piece of pork. And then here come Dr. King's disgusting self. He eats the pork so he can live.
Right.
Now go and convince your people to do the same thing. And that's what's going on right now. So now they know they got the leaders. Now they got everybody in on it. They got all blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians in on it. So now all of us are following after these heathen customs, these heathen laws, the things that we would never do, now we're doing. And that's what's happening right here. And these heathens, it said, read where it says exercise. Whereon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem.
So what was that, 11?
That's 14.
14, Salakia. Verse 14. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen.
So now what does that mean? Now they building all of these altars to all of these false gods. Now they building all of these, the coliseums, all of those sports, the bread and circus, the basketball, before it was basketball and football, you had blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians in a Roman coliseum defeating lions and bears and tigers.
Right.
Because they read about the people who we once were in the book of Judges, where you had Samson, where you had the brother Gideon, who goddamn beat a horse. And Samson took a jawbone of an ass and killed people with it. These is black and Hispanic men, and we were strong and mighty, and the oppressor saw that. He read our records and our history. They knew who we were, so they put us in these great exercise places they built, like the scripture said, and then they just watched us die and get ripped apart and mauled apart. Right? This was going on right here, these places of exercise. The places of exercise for the Greeks also was the temples, those that they dedicated to heathen gods that they worshipped. Right? All of the Jupiters and all of your astrology signs. The Capricorn and Aquarius, that's the oppressor's god. That was the Greeks' gods. Capricorn, Aquarius, what's that? Cancer, what's the other one? Sagittarius, Aries, Taurus. Those are the gods of the goddamn Greeks and the Romans. You had something you wanted to say, brother?
I just want to say, when you bring up Samson, he took the jawbone of an ass and killed over 1,000 people.
Over 1,000 people. Give the brother a hand. And had so much goddamn strength. In his last days, after he had did something against the Bible, having sex with a heathen woman, which is absolutely against God, he had sex with that whore Delilah. And he's in that bed, and they come in and they come in and take him. Now he's chained up to two boulders, two pillars that's holding the building up. And he said, Lord, he prayed, he bowed his head before the Most High God. And he said, if you just help me this one day to defeat these men, more men that I've ever smite in my lifetime, then let me die with some honor. And the Lord let him pull those two big pillars down. And the Bible says he killed more men that night than he ever killed in his entire life.
That's right.
The men that made fun of him and mocked him for his great strength. Then she cuts his hair, they come and take him, and he blasphemed the Lord because he thought his strength was in his hair, when it was really the Most High God all along.
Right.
And that is the problem at integration. Integration. And that's how they were able to build these great places. They knew who Samson was, they read about it. They knew who Gideon was, they read about it. They knew about David slewing Goliath. They knew about our great heroes of the Bible, black and Hispanic men. Joshua was a Ephraimite or a Manassite. He was a Cuban. You understand? And they read this, and they said, well, we're going to put some down. We're going to put them to work. We're going to see just how strong they are. Didn't put lions against you, bears against you, tigers against you. And see that movie Gladiator. They have white men portrayed in that movie, but that was us in those Colosseums, defeating all of these bears and lions, getting mauled to death. You understand? And that's what the Greeks did, right? Keep going.
Sir.
Give me 14. I'm sorry, give me 15.
You say you want me to finish 14? We finished 14.
Give me 15.
And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant.
Okay. Keep going, Salaki. Keep going.
And joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief.
You see that? We were joined together with the heathen. And that's our problem now, brothers and sisters. We join together with our oppressor, which is the reason why we are in the position and in the predicament that we are in. Because we have integrated. We have joined ourselves with little white boys and white girls at the table of brotherhood. Do you know what happens when you put a slave and a slave master at the same table? Do you know what happens? You become a slave all over again.
That's right.
That's what happens. And that's what we have done with integrating with our oppressors. It happened here, and it happens now. The same thing that happened over 2,000 years ago is happening to us right now. History is certainly repeating itself because we've been through this time and time again being the children of God. Israel have been through this, brother, so many times. So many times. Now keep going. Skip me down to verse 16. No, 17. Give me 17.
Sir. Verse 17. Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants.
Now, this is talking about Antiochus, right? This is the leader at this time of Greece. Remember that. Now he's entering into Judea with what?
With chariots.
I'm sorry, he entered into Egypt. He entered into Egypt with what?
With chariots.
Keep going.
And elephants and horsemen and a great navy.
Keep going.
Verse 18. And made war against
Ptolemy,
Salakia, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled.
Keep going.
And many were wounded to death.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 19. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof.
Keep going.
Verse 20. And after that, Antiochus had smitten Egypt. He returned again in the 143rd year.
Keep going.
And went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude.
This is a war that happened, right, between the oppressor, the Greeks, right, under Antiochus, or under the man after Antiochus, after they left Egypt, and with Israel, with blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. It said with Israel and Jerusalem, meaning all of us, all the 12 tribes, we were at war with our oppressors, the Greeks. Keep going.
Verse 21. And entered proudly into the sanctuary.
He entered how?
Proudly into the sanctuary.
Right. This is the spirit of our oppressor. Arrogance. Very arrogant, very haughty. They entered our sanctuary. And you got to think about it like this. Our sanctuary was a holy place. It was the holy of holies with the gold menorahs, the gold chalices. Everything was giant. Imagine this menorah. And then take it and multiply time, a big giant menorah. Everything we had was just gold. You know how brothers do. When we get a little bit of money, you're going to get gold chains that take up your whole entire neck. I see rappers, brother, and I don't know how they can move their neck out because the necklaces is all, but more power to them because that's our culture. That is our culture. To have the fro, the long hair, the chains, And that's how we rocked it. Everything gold, decked out, silver, gold, diamond encrusted. This is who we are. And that was how our temple, our sanctuary was. But the oppressor, the heathen, they entered in proudly. They were bold because they knew what? That they were going to defeat us.
Right.
They were going to defeat us and take all of that we had. Keep going.
Kind of one kind, sir. And entered proudly into the sanctuary.
Entered proudly into the sanctuary that King Solomon built. Proudly into the sanctuary that King Solomon, the son of David, he built that sanctuary for us. And it was the most important thing to us, that sanctuary. It was the holy of all holy places. Read on.
Kind of one kind, sir. And took away the golden altar.
Took away the what?
Golden altar.
Took away the what?
Golden altar.
They took away our golden altar. This table, imagine that. I mean, you've been in schools like this school we have here, for this Kansas City school we have. And they took, imagine this table, this altar, and it's just magnified times 10. Just a big, giant gold table. Then the Manorah, big, giant gold Manorah. The fleur de lis, the saint symbol. The big lion heads, the chalices, the cups, the wine holders, everything just gold. The showbread. This is the showbread. And this is how the temple was decked out since the Levites, the Levitical priests, did it in the book of Leviticus, in the book of Genesis and Exodus, and Numbers and Deuteronomy. That is how we always decked it out, because that was laws that the Lord gave us to make these tables this way, to make our sanctuaries this way. The frankincense and myrrh, the censers, everything just glorious. And they came and they took all of this. Imagine the most important thing that you have in your life, and somebody comes in and he just snatches it away from you proudly.
Right.
Not ashamed to do it, but boldly do it. And look you in your face and say, yeah, I took it. Take your identity. Take all that you have. That is what the oppressor did to us in this day. That is exactly what they did. That's what the brother's reading right now. Keep going.
Kind of one kind, sir. And took away the golden altar.
Keep going.
And the candlestick of light.
That's this candlestick right here. Anybody know why it's 7 and it's not 9? Right? The oppressor, the so-called Jewish white man, he has an extra 2 on each end. It makes it 9. It is 7, and it's a candlestick of light. Why is it 7? Anybody know? Go ahead, sis.
I think I know. For the 7 churches.
Absolutely. The 7 schools. It's 7, right? So we have 7 and not 9. So you have 7 candlesticks. You understand? The candlestick of light, the Manorah. That's what it is. Keep going.
Kind of one kind, sir. And all the vessels thereof.
All the vessels. These are vessels, the chalices. Imagine big, giant gold chalices. This is a vessel. That's a vessel. Everything that can hold something is a vessel. Keep going.
Kind of one kind, sir. Verse 22.
Y'all keep it down and quiet it down. All the children, be quiet. Every child, be quiet. Keep going, Art.
Kind of one kind, sir. And the table of the showbread.
The table of the showbread. Show, that's showbread. Come on, read it again.
And the table of the showbread.
This is the table of the showbread. You got the showbread right here. Why was there bread in the temple? Anybody know?
To feed the homeless or the poor.
Not the homeless, but to feed the nation of Israel. Come on, get a sister hand. Right? It's not the poor and the poor of Israel will come in, but rich of Israel will come in too. And we have food in the temple so brothers and sisters can eat. That is what it was for, right? Not just not to look nice. It looked good up there. It looked glorious, you understand? But it was also to slice the thing up and eat it with some wine, you understand, and some fried chicken. That is what it was for, to feed everybody, you understand? Not just to, look good, but to feed everybody. So we had the showbread. Keep going.
Kind of the kind, sir.
And they took that. Keep going.
Kind of the kind, sir. And the pouring vessels.
The pouring vessels. This is a pouring vessel. The vessel that holds the oil and the wine. That's the pouring vessels. They took all of that. Keep going.
Kind of the one kind, sir. And the vials.
Keep going.
And the censers of gold.
The censers of gold. These are censers. It's hot now because I lit frankincense and myrrh before we came in. But these censers, the Bible says the Lord loves sweet smells. And frankincense and myrrh is one of his favorite smells. And when you pray to the Most High God, there's an angel, right? And he's taking these prayers up in that smoke. I wish it was still lit. He takes the smoke and he takes it up to the Lord with your prayer. So as you saying a prayer, like we will say at the end of this class, it's an angel of the Lord that's taking that prayer up and he's giving it to the Lord. And the Lord smells that prayer and he hears your cry. And he hears the cry of how some oppressor can murder your son at a traffic stop. and he hears the prayer of some black and Hispanic woman saying, Lord, please help me. Lord, please save me, because my children are destined to fail. And I don't have a man listening to some prayer of some poor innocent black man in court who know he didn't commit the crime, like the brother they just let out of the Missouri State Penitentiary, serving 44 years for doing absolutely nothing. The oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks of.
That's right.
And while you're sitting in a jail cell, bro, I can tell you how I was shot. And while you're sitting in a jail cell thinking nobody hears you, and while you're sitting as a little girl being molested and raped by your uncle, there is somebody that hears you. The Most High God hears you, and he sends those prayers up. The angels of the Most High God sends them up, and then he executes vengeance to the ungodly. And he does what only the Most High God can do, and that's cast that spirit and the flesh. The scripture says, be not afraid of him that can just take the flesh, but be afraid of him that can take the soul and the flesh. That's the Most High God, and that is who we better serve and be very afraid of. And these censors, these decorations, these things are here because that is what our culture is, right? Not skinny jeans, not leggings, not mushroom top heads. What do they call the bonnets? Our culture is this how you looking today. The brother, stand up. This brother right here, hardcore, Officer Light. Should I get a brother hand? A garment down to the foot with a war belt. The sisters with the dresses on, with the head covering. That is how we look. You can sit down now, brother, at the water. That is how we look. Brothers look manly, masculine. Sisters look feminine and very, you understand, feminine and with the head bowed and somber and sweet. That is who we are. This is our culture, man. And the oppressor came and he stole our culture. Ain't that what they do now? They got Asians that have, they said it's called the Asian invasion of hip-hop. You got Asian rappers and Arab rappers. I'll be damned. The Arabs own all the fried chicken joints. What's next? Like shot watermelon. They gonna own all the watermelon spots, right? Like they came and took all our culture. And that is just what the Greeks did, and they did it proudly. I know I'm a Jew. I'm a Jewish man. We were in the Holocaust for 4 years. They came and they took all of our culture out. The showbread, the pouring vessels, everything we had, they came and took. Things that meant the most to us, they came and took. You had something you wanted to say? Go ahead.
What you dropping is so heavy. I just wanted to add the Moabites or the Asians or the Ammonites. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They even stealing our hair. Mm-hmm. They're getting chemicals
twisted
to make their hair woolly.
Yep, get a brother hand. I saw that too. There's a video out where the Asians, they come in and they having something done to their head. They twist it up in knots and have the chemicals put on it. And when they take the knots out, it puffs up like an afro. Like, brother, everybody wants to be you except for you. Right. Everybody wants your culture except for you. You are not a whore, black woman. That's a white woman's culture. You got that from marrying Marilyn Monroe whore culture and the city girl culture and the proud, the city girls, the hot girl, the butterfly, you are whatever the hell you want to be. And that's not your culture, sis. Right. Your culture is to be somber and sweet and caring and loving and motherly and contrite. That is your culture. To be feminine, not masculine. Where you at? Let me look through your phone. That's not your culture. Your culture is kana one kan sir. Yes, my Lord. Whatever you want, my Lord. That is your culture. And that is what they took from us. Keep going.
Kana one kan sir. Verse 22. Oh, did I finish? And all, so like it, I'm finishing off the verse 21. And all the vessels thereof.
No, you give me verse 23.
Verse 23. Mm-hmm. He took also the silver and the gold and the precious vessels. Also, he took the hidden treasures which he found. Mm-hmm. Verse 24. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre and spoken.
Having made a great what?
Massacre.
Okay, what's the definition of massacre, Elisha? You read it just a few days ago.
So, like, a massacre is the killing of a group of people.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the name.
The murder or slaying of an innocent group of people. That is what a massacre is. So they massacred us. We were innocent, helpless, and they came and just murdered us the same way they did the North American Indian to celebrate Thanksgiving. That's how he was able to get Thanksgiving, because they massacred an innocent, helpless group of people. Right. Keep going.
Made a great massacre and spoken very proudly.
Keep going.
25. Therefore, there was a great mourning in Israel. In every place.
There was a what?
Great mourning in Israel.
We were very sad, man. We were sad because we just watched the nation come in and sack our nation. a people of God, a strong people. There is not one black Hispanic that I've ever met that does not know deep down inside that they are a king or a princess.
Right.
Every last one of us know that we are rulers that meant to be ruled, that meant to rule, but we're just in hell. Brothers and sisters absolutely know, black and Hispanic people absolutely know that we should not be in the predicament we're in. You go and talk to them, they know, man, this is some BS.
Right.
There's no Hispanic brother that's working on the top of those goddamn roofs that don't know that working for the gringo,
That's
that
right.
he's the blanco hombre es el diablo en la Biblia en tierra. He
Right.
knows that he's the devil the Bible speaks of.
That's right.
He knows who the oppressor is on the earth.
Right.
And they know they're supposed to be in rulership. And that's the problem, brother. The problem is we know who we are and what we supposed to do. But you don't know what it takes to get to that point, man. And what it takes is we're going to skip ahead. We're going to get to the brother. Give me Mattathias. Now I want you to give me verse 44. All right, skip me up to 44. Right? It was brothers. Now you have to remember this. Just like there were sellouts, and just like there are sellouts now, there are also black and Hispanic and Native American Indian men who wanted to do what's right and stand for what was just and stand for the laws of God and have integrity, something this world doesn't see anymore. Go ahead, Art. Damn right. Damn right. Get it, brother, a hand. Most High Christ. That's the absolute truth. You understand? That's the absolute truth. Just like how you have Dr. King and Malcolm X and Jesse Jackson, you have the Icpk since the 1960s. Since the 60s, when they were marching for rights, Abba Bivens was established in his school. So brothers and sisters can come in here in 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, and serve the Most High God and not go and march and beg an oppressor for rights, but to serve God. And that's what these brothers held on to. Give them a hand, brother. I was shot. Or else we wouldn't be in here right now if it wasn't for their sacrifice and if it wasn't for them, their uncompromising spirit of not going. Abba Bivens was murdered by Muslims, and what happened? The week after, the chief head priest, the 7 heads that established this school, the Israelite school, Icpk, they went out and took the Quran and threw it down the very next week after Abba Bivens was murdered, because we are people who don't compromise, man.
Right.
This school is built on that. It is built on their courageous, gallant, very non-compromising spirit. And that is why we are no cowards in this camp.
Damn right.
Keep going.
Sir. Verse 44. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem.
Salaki, I'm missing a very important step here. Take me to verse 41. Now. Take me to verse 41, Baba Gushah.
Sir. Verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom.
He wrote to who?
His whole kingdom.
Remember, his whole kingdom is the entire Eastern Hemisphere. It's everybody.
Right.
It's Cappadocia. It's Ephesus. It's Asia Minor. It's Italy. It's Rome. It's Egypt. It's the northern part of Africa. It's that whole entire hemisphere. I wish we had a globe in here, a map. And you can see just how far and how vast their empire reigned out. It was very vast. And he wrote a letter to his kingdom. And what did he say,
Sir? That all should be one people.
That what?
All should be one people.
Does this sound familiar? Read it again.
All should be one people.
One nation.
All should be one people.
Under God.
All should be one people.
Indivisible.
All should be one people.
With liberty and justice for all.
All should be one people.
Pledge allegiance to the flag.
All should be one people.
We are a melting pot.
All should be one people.
We are a democracy.
All should be one people.
That is what Antiochus wanted, America. This is the United States of America. We're all just one melting pot. We're not individuals in one whole land. No, we all the same. That's what Antiochus wanted. That's what he wrote to his people, to his kingdoms, to the leader of these kingdoms, what man he set in charge to lead these nations under him. He sent a letter out to them and said, we all should be one people. That sound familiar? Who else did that? Nimrod and the Babylonians. It is not God's will for all people to be one people, which is why he separated us and divided us. And there are borders on the earth. There are borders on the earth. There is not one big gloop and glop of everybody. We one big soup melted together, like the goddamn Statue of Liberty says. That is what we bring you tired and you're sick and you're wretched trash. That's what the Statue of Liberty says. Somebody look up the quote of what's on the Statue of Liberty on your own time, and you'll see that America is this right here. It's Greece. America is an extension of the Greco-Roman Empire. They wanted everybody to be one people. Let me hip you to something else. In America, no matter what your belief, no matter what your race, your ethnicity, your background, you can go and join the military. You can go and get down in that military. You know who else did that? The Greeks, the Romans. Whoever they conquered, whatever person they conquered, whoever wanted to join the Greeks military, they could do it. They just got to go up to not Antiochus, Alexander the so-called Great, one of his generals, and say, listen, I see how mighty y'all are. Y'all took over my country. Let me join. You can't beat them, join them. And they allowed anybody to just serve in their military. That's not who we are. The Lord does not allow us, because of our love to the Most High God, we are not allowed to love any other nation. We are not allowed to love any other God. We are not allowed to serve another people that is not our people. And that's just because of the way the Lord designed Israel to be. He designed us to be separated, segregated, holy. That is who we made to be. Not somebody who's going to join the oppressor's military and put on a badge and a gun thinking that's going to stop and save black people. It didn't stop the crack epidemic in the 80s. It ain't stopping the weed and heroin and the fentanyl lace weed epidemic in the 2020s. It was a waste of time. Integrating with the oppressor has been an absolute waste of time. And what this brother is reading, that is who everybody wants to be. Every nation wants that. They want to be the ruler of everybody. That's what Nimrod wanted, which is why he built that Tower of Babel to reach heaven, because he wanted all people to come together in some big melting pot and be the God of everybody. It's why Jeff Bezos and the Virgin Island devil is the ones going up to space, because whoever can reach space first is the God on earth.
Right. And
that is the thought process of the oppressor. So if we join everybody together, no matter what their race and creed and ethnicity, then we'll be the leader of them or the God of them. And there won't be a need for the God they pray to. They can just pray to me. That is the spirit of our oppressor. Right. And the problem with Negroes and Hispanics, like I told y'all earlier, is that we are uncompromising people. Loving our God, the Most High God of the Bible, does not allow us to get along with everybody. It does not allow us to integrate with everybody's belief. To an Arab would just eat whatever he has to eat to survive.
Right.
That goddamn Moabite, them Chinese, they would suck on a bat. They would look at that bat and they would go just eat it.
Right.
And they just eat a bat. You look at it and say, oh, like that's a bat. I can't eat that. Not Chinese people.
Right.
They look at that bat, the bat looking at him in the eyes while it's alive, and they just bite the goddamn head off.
Right.
He's just eating. He's full of bats and rats and COVID because they just eat everything. You black and Hispanic, you know that's a dog. I can't eat no dog. I can eat cat. That Arab man just looking at that thing saying it's a bat nonetheless. It's a cat. I'ma just eat the thing because I can put it in my mouth, and they just can get along with everybody. What you need me to do? You need me to go eat bats to get a Dunkin' Donuts? I'll get the Dunkin' Donuts. You need me to go and salute the flag to go and get all the, what is the damn Arab, the Chinese on hair shops? All you sisters that got hair growing out of your goddamn head and you burning it up and tearing it out. The hair grows out of your head, sis. I don't know if black women know that, Elijah, but hair grows out of your head, sis. And you go to some heathen woman that's going to beat you over the head with a broomstick if you're 2 pennies short. They got all of this. They own every goddamn thing. The Chinese have municipalities. Hear me good. The Chinese have municipalities called Chinatown in Washington, D.C., the capital of America. You understand that? Listen to me good. Downtown Washington, D.C., the country, the goddamn capital of a whole entire country. They have a municipality there where they feel safe and they rule and they own every business on that block. Because they can just be whoever America wants them to be. But blacks and Hispanics and North American Indian, that is not who we are.
Right.
We're the problem with the unifying of everybody. And we have always been the problem with the unifying of everybody. Because every nation can just go and do whatever they want to do. They can go be rapists. They can go be liars. They can go be thieves. They can go be human traffickers and sex traffickers and murderers. They can do whatever the hell they want to do. But not you, black man. Not you, Hispanic, because you know it's something wrong about that. And your spirit, what they say, something just don't sit right in my spirit. Ain't that what old Judite say? That's an old Judite phrase. Something just don't sit right in my spirit. You know why? Because you have a conscience. And other nations don't have that.
That's right.
They can do whatever they want to survive, but you actually feel some type of way. That is the problem with blacks and Hispanics to all the other nations. These hard-headed niggas just should shut up and dribble. They should not even, LeBron shouldn't even worry about why Atiana Jefferson was murdered. He should just go dribble the basketball and shut the hell up. You're making all this money. They can't understand why we would stand for anything because they don't. Laura Ingraham, you think Laura Ingraham would goddamn go and stand up for anything just and right? She wouldn't. She would do whatever she has to do to make that $10 million a year that she makes. You think Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump and Barack Obama, they would do what they would stand for something that's just? They won't. They're going to sell you out. They'll sell their own mama out if it's going to make them a few pennies because that is who the other nations are, and that is who we are not. Keep going now.
Verse 42. And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 43. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrifice unto idols and profane the Sabbath.
This is some very dark times for the nation of Israel, Laki. This is some very hard, tough, sad, and somber times for blacks, Hispanics, and North American Indians out. And what we're reading, what the brother is reading, is a period of time, like many of them in history, where blacks, Hispanics, and North American Indians, because of horrible failed leadership, we decided to leave our integrity to the side and just go be with the heathen because it was easier to be with the heathen than it was to be a free man or free woman. And this is what the brother's reading right now. When Antiochus, or the king at this time of Greece, made that remark and sent those letters out, it said that we also of the nation of Israel, the Israelites, we profaned the Sabbath day. We were Christian and we were hallelujah, and God knows my heart, and ate pork and shrimp and ate whatever the heathens ate. We ate whatever the oppressor gave us to eat at this time because we forewent our integrity, forewent loving the Most High God, our power, and we just sacrificed to idols. How do you sacrifice to idols? Somebody tell me how you sacrifice to idols. No, somebody, not you. Somebody else. How do you young man? How do you sacrifice to idols?
By celebrating Christmas.
Get a brother a hand. Celebrating Christmas. I'm gonna hip you to something. I'm gonna give you some more. By voting, you also sacrifice to idols. Salakia, if any brother here is officer of 500, any officer of 500, officer of 50, you can get up and you can go get your food. You can get you a plate of food. You understand? Everybody should be seated. Everybody take a seat. Whoever is an officer of 50 or 500 that would like to go eat, go get your plate now and go eat. You understand? Any brother that's officer of 50 or 500, Elisha, Tazan, y'all want to go eat? You go eat. All right? And then after those, any troopers, any young men, any troopers. So all the young men that's sitting over here, you go get your plate of food right now if you want to go get your plate of food. All right? Go ahead and keep reading.
Sir.
Oh, the brother said something. The brother said that sacrificing to idols is celebrating Christmas. That is true, and that's correct. It's also voting. That's also sacrificing to idols. The Lord said you shouldn't vote because you dishonor him by voting because he is the only person that should reign over your life. When you vote, when you become Democrat, when you join the oppressor's military, when you go in their Navy, when you go in their law enforcement, in their politics, you are sacrificing unto idols. When you are Christian, when you are Muslim, when you are Buddhist, when you're in the conscious community, you are sacrificing unto idols because you're not keeping the laws of God, because you're not doing what the Most High God intends for his people and wants for his people to do. You don't live the lifestyle that he wants you to live. You go ahead. You got a question?
If I may, what you saying is you sacrificing yourself unto the idols?
When the scripture says sacrificing unto idols, it means just that. At this time, we had big statues to different idols, right? You had, in Egypt, they had, out of Egypt, we had Baal. So they made a brazen bull to give worship to Baal and give worship to the moon god and the sun god, sort of like the Native American Indians. They got a goddamn god for everything. They got a rain god, a moon god, a sun god when they're the children of Israel. They're supposed to be one people that's giving their love, their honor, and their respect to the Most High God. That's the only power we're supposed to be serving. So when you vote, who are you serving? You serve the God of America. When you join the oppressor's military, you sacrificing unto idols because you're disobeying God. The Bible says that who has the mark of the beast? The mark of the beast is that image of Caesar Borgia. America is Caesar Borgia. He's Rome. So if you serve America, you're sacrificing unto idols. Everybody understand? You had a question you wanted to say?
I want to make a comment.
Go ahead.
If I may. Yeah, so like in verse where it says that everyone should leave his laws, and then it also says in 43, consented to his religion.
Mhm.
While in America they try to say there's a separation between law and state.
Church and state.
Mhm. That goes to show you that that's a lie.
Oh, absolutely. You saying because this scripture says that it shows that America's church and state separation is a lie?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll accept that. Get a brother hand. You're absolutely right. You can be whatever you want to be in America except this. Everybody understand what I'm saying? Listen to me good. You can go and be a Christian even though Christians murdered nations. And even though the KKK were Christian, you can go be a Christian. There are religions where they worship trees. You can go be a tree worshiping nut. You can be whatever you want to be. You can go be a Muslim that kisses a rock. That look up how many deaths that take place at Mecca. Over 10,000 people die every year to that Hajj to Mecca as they're kissing a rock because they're giving honor to that idol. And you can be a Muslim in America. Muslims blew up the World Trade Center. You know that? I don't know if y'all knew that 9/11 happened, but they blew up the World Trade Center. And black people can be Muslims. They still allow Muslims and Afghans to, they welcome them over here, even though they blew up the World Trade Center. You could be a Christian, you could be a Muslim and blow yourself up. You could be a tree worshiping nut. You could be everything that you want to be except in the Israelite school UPK. Because then you would be in a cult. Because then you would actually have to make change. You can go and have sex with every whore you want in the church and be a Christian. You can't do that in the Israelite school UPK. And that's why we are so hated, because we do not compromise our integrity the way that they did under the Greeks. That's the reason why. So what the brother said is absolutely right. There is no separation of church and state. You know why? Because you can be whatever you want to be, except in the Israelite school UPK. Keep going now.
Verse 44. For the king had sent letters by the messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judea. It's like Judah. That they should follow.
You verse 43, right?
44.
It's like verse 44. It's cities of Judah.
Cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
Now, go to chapter 2. I want you to read me chapter 2, verse 14. Give me chapter 2, verse 14. I want everybody to pay attention and listen to this, because this is the reason why we're here right now. I gave you all the history of the oppression and the suffering that we suffered under the Greeks, and how they came to rise with Philip the Macedonian and his son Alexander the so-called Great. I showed you all the history. We went back and all started at chapter 1, verse 1 in Maccabees to show you all the history, right? Now, catch you up to now, right? Pay attention to right now where we are in this scripture. The brother's going to read right now something that is the reason why we're here celebrating Hachaanaakah. The reason why we're having the feast of the dedication of the Most High God. Because although we were in great hail and great, we were in extreme poverty, and we forewent the laws of our forefathers to serve our oppressor, there was still some hope for us, because you had strong black men that stood up for the Most High God. And that's what you have to understand right now, what he's about to read. Read.
First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 14. Then Mattathias.
Then who?
Then Mattathias.
Mattathias was the son of John the Simeonite, a priest of the sons of Jehoram from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. So this brother here, I read that as a scripture, by the way. That's 2 and 1 if you want to read that for yourself, to give you who exactly Mattathias was. Mattathias, he was a son of a righteous man, and he had a great reputation of being righteous. And so he was encouraged with sons and brothers, and everybody loved him because he was a solid individual. He stayed 10 toes down, like we like to say. He was a hardcore brother who served God and didn't serve man.
Right.
Keep going.
Sir. Then Mattathias and his sons rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourn very sore.
Why did they mourn very sore? Somebody tell me why they mourn very sore.
If I may, because Israel was being downtrodden, pretty much.
Get a brother hand. That's the reason why. Because of think about now and what you see that happens to blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. think about the oppression that you see that happens to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And think about all of the murders. I think about this all the goddamn time. That oppressor down there in Oklahoma City, that Detective Holesclaw, who raped and molested over 236 women at traffic stops. Imagine your wife having at a routine traffic stop. This devil comes up with a badge and with a gun and tells her to spread them, and then goes in and gives her a 45-minute cavity search. That is what our oppressor has done to us, and that is what they did to us then, over 2,000 years ago in Modin, in Judea, in Greece, and in Rome. It has happened to us thanks to leaders in the black and Hispanic community who would rather serve man than serve God. And that is why it happens. It is the reason why these sisters, that is something that it baffles me out. Like those sisters, and you know what's even more sad about that is that those black women were reporting him. Everybody understand? It wasn't one of those where white women, they get raped and then 30 years later they go and tell on the person that did it. These sisters had some integrity. And they immediately reported, this cat was groping me and doing this to me for 55 unauthorized minutes. And they did absolutely nothing about it until years went by. And he was able to molest over 255 black and Hispanic women, specifically black and Hispanic women. Over 255 of them sisters came forward and said, yeah, he did it to me too, sis. That's a town of people out. That's a town of black women he just went and molested and raped. And so that is the reason why Mattathias, an honorable man, a man of God, that is the reason why him and his sons went and mourned for Israel. Because they didn't forget the prayers of the dead Israelites. Although the brothers and sisters were in the grave dead because of the violence from the oppressor, from our oppressor, the so-called white man, the Caucasians, because of their violence against their brother Jacob, we were put to death. And Mattathias and his sons didn't forget that violence. They went on and they mourned for Israel. They mourned to see the day of the destruction when the Greeks came in and took all that we had, took all of the gold that we had, the silver that we had. They came in and they took it all. You know why? Because the leadership that black people had allowed them to do that. And you remember that when you join yourself to the Christian church. Remember that when you follow after T.D. Jakes and after Creflo Dollar and Al Sharpton. They're going to lead you down the path of destruction the same way they've been doing since the book of Maccabees, since the book of Genesis. You understand? Keep going, Doc.
Verse 15. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled...
Everybody hold it down. Shammai, everybody hold it down. Keep the noise down. Everybody understand? Keep the noise down. Keep going, Doc.
Such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city Modin. Or was that
Modin? You said it right.
Modin, to make them sacrifice. Verse 16. And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together.
Keep going. So now, just to show you what's going on, right? To explain what's going on. The king's officers of Greece, they came in because of the revolt, the riots that was going on. Because you had some of Israel, like Mattathias, who wasn't going. They wasn't going to serve Greece. And they wasn't going to serve Jupiter or Baal or be Christian or be Buddhist or be Muslim. They wasn't going to integrate. Then you had Israelites like Jesse Jackson and T.D. Jakes who said, to hell with that. I'm going to eat a bat so I can live. I'm going to eat pork just so I'm going to go celebrate Thanksgiving. Even though I know the day of what it means, I'm going to do it anyway because they had no integrity. And so it was riots. It was a revolt because who knew? Nobody knew. I'm on the side with Mattathias. I'm on the side with the Greeks. I'm on Dr. King's side or I'm on Commandant General Hachaanaakah's side. Keep going.
Verse 17. Then answered the king's officers and said unto Mattathias on this wise, thou art a ruler.
Listen to what these Greek officers, these military officers, listen to what they said after they rode in on horseback. They rode in on horseback just to meet Mattathias. And I want everybody to remember this. They came in there to meet Mattathias. They came into the city Modin because they heard about his reputation. Keep going.
Thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city. And strengthened with sons and brethren.
Strengthened with what?
Sons and brethren.
Put some respect on my name.
Sons and brethren.
This brother here, Mattathias, because of his steadfastness to the Most High God, because of how loyal and how much of a man of faith he was, his honor, his integrity, that stretched all the way to Antiochus and the Greeks.
Right.
This small man in this land of Modin, because of his reputation, everybody knew who he was, including the oppressors. They had respect for him. And that goes to show, brother, in this school, the oppressor respects Commander Juliana.
That's right.
And we don't ask for our oppressor's love, but you will respect us, because we are not going to go this way or to the left like Mattathias told these officers. We won't go this way or to the left to dishonor our God. We're going to die rather than live on our knees. You understand? That is who we are in Israelite School UPK. That is what we're bred and born to do. To die, to give our life, just like Mattathias and his brothers and sons would have, just so blacks, Hispanics, and North American Indians can live and not live under scrutiny and cruel leadership. That's who we are in Israelite School UPK. And that is what we are experts in being no cowards. We won't go and eat that pork Elisha. We won't go and smoke that weed. We won't go be Christians just so we can be loved by everybody. And our reputation stretched to all the kingdoms of the earth. That's why they make movies about the Israelite School UPK. We in every goddamn movie now. That movie with the the BMF, the goddamn all of them. The Barack Obama movie, Barry. They have the Icpk displayed in all these movies. Which, by the way, Commander Juliana ain't received that check yet from these movies out. And I want Commander Juliana to get those checks from them portraying us, because you can't go and portray an LGBT community member without those leaders of the LGBTQ giving it the okay. But they going to portray us without Commander Juliana's okay. They owe us a check out. They owe Commander Juliana a check. You understand? Nonetheless, Elisha, they portray us in everything. You know why? Because they know that they respect us, because we are not willing to serve man over God. We're willing to not be cowards and just die. We're willing to die with some honor and stand for something. That is who we are in here, and everybody knows it. That's Mattathias. Mattathias was one West stock. That is exactly who he was. He was a one West brother. Keep going.
Verse 18. Now therefore come thou first, and fulfill the king's commandment.
What did they ask him, Elisha?
Now therefore come thou first.
They said, you come first, because you are a man that everybody knows and respects. Imagine if, think about it like this. The oppressors saw that black people at the time of the 60s, majority of black people, they respected Dr. King. You understand? He was a man of respect amongst blacks and Hispanics. He was our leader. That's what black people refer to him as, our leader. And so white people, their oppressors, saw that. And so they said, well, shoot, since you're black people's leader, or Malcolm X, since you're black people's leader, well, why don't you come and do this? Because if you do this, what's going to happen? Somebody tell me what's going to happen. If Martin Luther King Jr., if he decided to marry white women, then what would the boys under him start to do? Go ahead, Doc.
So like you said, a leader must have followers.
They're going to follow. So what would they do?
Follow Martin Luther King.
They're going to follow Martin Luther King Jr., and that's what we did. And the oppressor knows that, which is why they said, thou come first. You be the first to come up here. We want you to be the first, because if you do it, then everybody else is going to do it. Keep going.
Sir. Now therefore come thou first, and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done.
Like as all the heathen have done. Like I said before, heathens don't have a problem with eating that bad eye.
Right.
They're going to do whatever the hell they got to do to survive.
Right.
But we do have a problem with it, because we have integrity. So all the heathen was already on board. He wrote those letters to those other nations, to Cynthia, to Corinth, to Ephesus, to Philippia, to Asia Minor, to Egypt, to Morocco, to Algeria, to Somalia, to those countries on the northern part of Africa. He wrote those countries to the whole entire place that they ruled, and everybody else did what the hell he said with no question. They looked at the letter and said, okay, you want us to eat rat or bat? Rat? Okay, we're going to eat rat.
Right.
You want us to go do this? Whatever you're going to tell us to do to get a Dunkin' Donuts, we'll do it. But then you got these niggas in these spics out. Right. Then you got these Negroes. You got some nigga down here named Mattathias, my lord, who won't eat no pork. He said you can cut his tongue out and he still won't do it.
Right.
You come first, because if I convince you to do it, then everybody's going to do it.
That's right.
Keep going.
Sir. Salaki. I lost my spot.
Salaki, you in verse
19.
19, correct.
Hachaanaakah.
No, reading
No,
18, Khan.
Salaki, sir.
No sweat. Go ahead.
And the men of Judah also. No, Salaki. Let me go back here.
No, you're right. Keep going.
Yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem, so shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold, and many rewards.
Y'all see the problem, right? You see the problem. They say, well, listen, if you come and you honor the king's request, your children will go live in Calabasas, California.
Right.
They won't have to worry about an education. Are you serious? You won't have to worry about paying no taxes. You don't have to worry about doing nothing. But what about the rest of my people? And that's the problem with Christianity. Because of thanks to Christianity, we have been made to be so selfish to where you only care about you and your children. What the hell else about the rest of us? What else about your brother and your sister sitting next to you? The brother and sister that you grew up with. The sister that's next door with no man. What about her? But you get blessed. You get to be in the king's friendship. You get to be in the king's courthouse. Your children don't have to worry about paying taxes, which is where tithes come from, by the way. They won't have to worry about paying taxes. Your children don't have to worry about paying for an education. The rest of your people might, but not you.
Right.
If you come and honor us and teach the rest of your people how to sin, then you will be honored. You see the problem? You understand? Mattathias saw what was going on. He wasn't a fool. And nonetheless, Mattathias wasn't a coward. So no matter what offer they gave Mattathias, his answer was going to be the same. Because that's an offer Brother Al Sharpton wouldn't be able to pass that offer up. If they came to Dr. King with that offer, they would have to tell him nothing about your kids would be friends with the... What? Say it again. Oh, yeah, I get to be... Oh, yeah, just me, because that's the Christian church. Me. It's selfish. You don't have... Go ahead, sis. You had something you wanted to say?
Yeah, it's kind of like these rappers now. You know, they they want all the gold. They move out the hood.
Right.
You know, but they still the thought of doing drugs.
God.
And, living that kind of lifestyle too. Or people that ain't
Absolutely.
there with them. But they living in mansions, and half of them don't even live that thug life that they rap about.
Right.
They don't know it.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Entertainment is what they say. But they really they was about,
Right.
about like he said here, your family gonna move out the hood.
Absolutely.
Put you in the mansion.
Absolutely. Get a sister a hand. Damn right. Get a sister a hand. That's absolutely true. Just like she said, like Cardi B. Cardi B made that song WAP for your daughters, not her daughter.
Right.
Megan Thee Stallion made that song for your daughter. She wants your daughter to be a hoe, not her daughter.
Right.
They making songs. Those brothers Gucci and them selling all that dope. They not selling all that dope.
That's right.
They telling your son to sell the dope. While they said Dr. Dre's son go to like Harvard or some nonsense like that. You think his son is going to be the gangster rapper that your son is going to be? He's not. He's going to be your son's lawyer when he needs to get the hell out of jail.
Right.
Because he sold you something that he doesn't do himself, like the sister was saying. And that's what they're telling Mattathias. If you do this thing here, your family going to be looked out for. We'll take care of y'all. But what did Mattathias say? Keep going.
Sir. Verse 20. Yet will I and my sons and my brethren...
No. Verse 19.
Oh, Salaki.
Then Mattathias answered. No, verse 2 and 19. Chapter 2, verse 19.
Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice, though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey.
Everybody listen to what, and slow down on that too. They need to hear this. I want everybody to listen to what Mattathias answered these king's officers and said. Read from the top.
Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice.
He spoke loudly like a man, so everybody could hear what the hell he had to say. Keep going, Doc.
Though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him and fall away, every one from the religion of their fathers.
Although you got every nation to follow after you, although you got every nation to be Christian and every nation to eat pork and to be rapist and to charge a breast tax Go look up the East Indians' breast tax. They came down to the Caribbean islands, to our Benjamite brothers and sisters, and they told black and Hispanic women down on those islands, they said, if you want to wear a bra and not be out in the open just naked, you have to pay us a $20 fee just to put clothes on.
Right.
It's called a breast tax. You can look this up. Although every nation does be whores like you want them to be, and although you got every nation under your authority, what else did he say?
Every one from the religion of their fathers.
You got every last one of them to stop serving their forefathers and serve you. Keep going.
And give consent to his commandments.
Keep going.
Verse 20. Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers.
Let me explain something to everybody. This brother right here was not only unbending, but he was very, very uncompromising guy. And he told these men this boldly. He told military officers. Imagine the Army and the Marine Corps come to your house. Imagine Navy SEALs coming to your house and they say, you got to do what Joe Biden tell you to do. A Christian would listen to what they tell them to do and just do it. Mattathias spoke boldly for everybody to hear. And what did he say? Yet will I and my sons.
Sir. Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers.
Although everybody else is under your authority, although you got everybody to do what you want them to do and follow what you want them to follow, and you murdered great nations, and you conquered nations, and you went on vast conquests and treks across deserts, Saharas, and waters that will make any navy sink, although you've done all of this, yet will me and my sons obey the Most High God. Barakatha Yahweh wa Yahweh Shai. For this brother's unbending, uncompromising, unwavering loyalty to the Most High God. He was loyal to the Most High God, and he was loyal to his people. And this is the lesson of Hachaanaakah for brothers and sisters. These young children, these black and Hispanic children, they can learn something from this story, man. You can learn something from Hachaanaakah, from the Feast of the Dedication. You can learn how to be the same way Mattathias was.
That's right.
You don't have to be some rapper or some ball player and sell your people out. You don't have to go and have sex with white women because Martin Luther King Jr. said it was okay and because he did it. Right. You can be something that is absolutely foreign to everybody else. You can be One West, and you can have some integrity. And that's what Mattathias was. I give it up for Mattathias in the day of Hachaanaakah, because that's exactly who he was. He was a man that was unwavering. He was a man that he had integrity, and that's what black and Hispanic children need. You want to know why we murdering and killing each other? It's because of the generations before us. Everybody want to blame the brothers in the streets, but don't nobody want to get to the root of their problem of why their brothers in the streets murdering everybody. You think they woke up one day and said, I want to kill everybody, I want to smoke fentanyl laced weed? They didn't. Those generations before us, they failed to secure homes for them, failed to secure housing for them, failed to secure resources for them, failed to secure families for them, failed to secure integrity for them, failed to secure jobs for them. Mattathias looked for the future, and he saw that I had to do something that nobody else would do. And I got to stand up for my people so that these children and the brothers and sisters around me would do just what I would do. It took that brother right there so we could have the Feast of Hachaanaakah, so we can remember days like this, so we don't have to go out and be Christian, so we don't have to go out and be Muslim. We can be uncompromising too. We can have integrity too. We don't have to go and join everybody and celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving, no matter if they call you a cult.
Right.
No matter if they say you're a cult. You know what Mattathias would have said? I'm a cult leader.
That's right.
Like the Israelite school Icpk.
Right.
He didn't care if you called him a cult, if you called him this or called him that, because he was going to stand with the Most High God.
That's right.
He was going to do what God told him and his children and his people and his family to do. And he was going to secure housing for the young brothers and the young sisters. He was going to secure integrity for the young black and Hispanic children. He was going to secure families for them. He was going to make sure he secured the laws of God for them so they didn't have to mess up and err and go be some drug-induced rapper and die in a drug-inducing coma like Whitney Houston, a drug-induced coma like Michael Jackson, a drug-induced coma like XXX Tentacion. He said, I'm going to stand for what's right and for what's lawful, and I won't go from the left or the right to disobey the God of the Bible. I'm going to stand with the Most High God. And if you kill me, so be it. If I die right here, so be it. You know why? Because the Most High God is my power, and not Antiochus, not America, not the Christian church, not the Muslim mosque, not the Democrat or Republican Party, but the Most High God of the Bible. And with that, I pass the class over to Priest and Officer Elisha. Elisha, you go in the back, take Tazan's seat. Tazan, come up here. He'll take your seat. Because I got the binder back there. We're going to say the prayers after you say the security announcements.
So he gonna come up.
Yeah, so go ahead and go back there. The binder is in that seat. In fact, Elisha, come stand up here. Get the binder and then come stand up here. So I can get the camera on you. Right. Tazan, help the brother with the camera. Right here, this camera. Get it on him when he come up here. He gonna stand up here. Now you gonna stand right there. Right. And just turn it. Yep, just like that. Lift it up. No. Put it down and just tilt it up. Tilt it up. Some more. Right there. All right. Now you can sit down, Tazan. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead and say the security announcement. God.
Icpk security announcements. We have the Icpk started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18 and 21, Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10, means tenth in the Hebrew. My Asherah, 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. Today, of course, we are celebrating the Feast of Dedication, Hachaanaakah.
The closing is next Monday.
The closing is next Monday. We find that in which we just read, chapter Maccabees, first Maccabees, chapter 4, verses 52 through 61. And of course, we have the Lord's 53rd Passover, April 15th. Give the Lord a hand for that. It's going to be in Florida. So just brothers and sisters, just look out on Facebook, you know what I mean, for any updates or any changes that might happen. But right now, it's pretty much set. Salakia. Remind Akim and Akwak to check the bulletin board in the hallway. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black, boots, shirt, pants, headband, or war scarf. And with that, Amadium, which means to stand. Men of Israel, we're going to give one.
Wapanya Hakwadam, which means.
Oh, so we're going to do the prayers first.
God.
Wapan Wakidam.
Wapanya Hakwadam.
Wapanya Hakwadam, which means rise and face the east.
And the east is this way, so
The
everybody
east is
knows.
this way.
All right, now Tazan, if you could, now turn it on. Scoot it back some, scoot it towards me, and then get it on everybody else. Turn it around, get it on everybody.
That way.
Yeah, I want to turn it that way. A little bit more. Okay, right there is good. All right. Go ahead, you can begin.
Okay, kind of the kind. The Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa.
Abanawa.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Shabbat Shemayim.
Kodash.
Kodash.
Ayah.
Ayah.
Shamka.
Shamka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Malakwaka.
Malakwaka.
Taba'ah.
Taba'ah.
Ratazaka.
Ratazaka.
Ayah.
Ayah.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Ratazah.
Baratazah.
Kawa.
Kawa.
Ayah.
Ayah.
Bashemayim.
Bashemayim.
Nathanawa.
Nathanawa.
Kal.
Lakal.
Kal.
Kal.
Yawam.
Yawam.
Wasalakanawa.
Wasalakanawa.
Kawawaknawa.
Kabawafnawa.
Kasalaknawa.
Kasalaknawa.
Kawawaknawa.
Kabawafnawa.
Wala'ah.
Wala'ah.
Kabayanawa.
Kabayanawa.
Banasayawan.
Banasayawan.
Abal.
Abal.
Awashayanawa.
Awashayanawa.
Mayan.
Mayan.
Rai.
Rai.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Laka.
Laka.
Hamalakwa.
Hamalakwa.
Wa'ala.
Wa'ala.
Wahatapara.
Wahatapara.
Awalakwa. Lamyam.
Aman.
Aman.
In the English, Our Father,
Our Father,
which art in heaven,
which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done.
Thy will be done.
In earth.
In earth.
As it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day.
Give us this day
Our daily bread.
our daily bread.
And forgive us of our debts.
And
Salakia.
forgive us our-
And forgive us our debts.
And forgive us our debts.
As we forgive our debtors.
As we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not.
And lead us not
into temptation.
into temptation.
But deliver us.
But deliver us
from evil.
from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
For thine is the kingdom.
And the power.
And the power.
And the glory.
And the glory.
Forever.
Forever.
So be it.
So be it. Hakat, the power in the Hebrew. Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Ba'ashem Yahushai.
Ba'ashem Yahushai.
Baba Kashah.
Baba Kashah.
Nathanawa.
Nathanawa.
Hakat.
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 Larapa'ah.
Larapa'ah.
Wakal Makalah.
Kal Makalah.
Wakal Marawa.
Wakal Marawa.
Hakat.
Hakat.
La Tahar.
La Tahar.
Hamatazariah.
Hamatazariah.
Hakat.
Hakat.
Lahaquium.
Lahaquium.
Hamathium.
Hamathium.
Hakat.
Hakat.
Arakawat.
Arakawat.
Hamata'ala. Hamata'ala. Hatama'ala.
Hatama'ala.
The Garashan.
The Garashan.
Ba'ashem Yahushai.
Ba'ashem Yahushai.
The Wada Aman.
The word Aman. In the English, Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahushai.
In the name of Yahushai.
Please.
Please.
Give us the power.
Give us the power.
The power to heal.
The power to heal.
All manner of sickness.
All manner of sickness.
And all manner of disease.
And all manner of disease.
The power to cleanse the lepers.
The power to cleanse the lepers.
The power to raise the dead.
The power to raise the dead.
The power against unclean spirits.
The power against unclean spirits.
To cast them out.
To cast them out.
In the name of Yahushai.
In the name of Yahushai.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it. Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Asha.
Asha.
Ayanya.
Ayanya.
Ahaharium.
Ahaharium.
Ma'ayan.
Ma'ayan.
Yaba'a.
Yaba'a.
Isaiah.
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 Ma'ayin.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Shemayim.
Shemayim.
Wa'aratazah.
Wa'aratazah.
Al-Yathan.
Al-Yathan.
Lamawat.
Lamawat.
Regalka.
Regalka.
Al-Yanawam.
Al-Yanawam.
Shamarka.
Shamarka. Hana.
La'a.
La'a.
Yanawam.
Yanawam.
Wala'a.
Wala'a.
Yayashan.
Yayashan.
Shawamar.
Shawamar.
Yashala.
Yashala.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Shamarka.
Shamarka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Tazalka.
Tazalka.
Al-Yad.
Al-Yad.
Yamdinka.
Yamdinka.
Yawamam.
Yawamam.
Hashamash.
Hashamash.
La'a.
La'a.
Yakayaka.
Yakayaka.
Wayarak.
Wayarak.
Balayala.
Balayala.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Yashamarka.
Yashamarka.
Makalrai.
Makalrai.
Yashamar.
Yashamar.
Atnapashka.
Athnapashka.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Yashamar.
Yashamar.
Tazaatka.
Tazaatka.
Wabawatka.
Wabawatka.
Ma'ita.
Ma'ita.
Why? Salaka. Why?
Why?
Awalam.
Awalam.
Aman.
Aman. In the English, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills.
I will lift up my eyes into the hills.
From whence cometh my help?
From whence cometh my help?
My help cometh from Yahweh.
My help cometh from Yahweh,
Which made heaven and earth.
which made heaven and earth.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He that keepeth thee
He that keepeth thee
will not slumber.
will not slumber.
Behold,
Behold,
he that keepeth Israel
he that keepeth Israel
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand.
Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand.
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
nor the moon by night.
nor the moon by night.
Yahweh shall preserve thee
Yahweh shall preserve thee
from all evil.
from all evil.
He shall preserve thy soul.
He shall preserve thy soul.
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
and thy coming in.
and thy coming in.
From this time forth
From this time forth
and even forevermore.
and even forevermore.
So be it.
So be it. Psalms 83 in the Hebrew. Alahayim.
Alahayim.
Al Damayalaka.
Al damayalaka.
Al the Karash.
Al takarash.
Wa al the Shakwat.
Wa al dashakwat.
Al. Kayahana.
Kayahana.
Awayabiyaka.
Awayabiyaka.
Yahama Yawan.
Yahama Yawan.
Wamashanai. Salaka. Wamashanai.
Wamashanayaka.
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 Nasha'awa.
Nasha'awa.
Ra'ash.
Ra'ash.
Al-Imaka.
Al-Imaka.
Ya'arayamwa.
Ya'irayamwa.
Sawad.
Sawad.
Wayataya'ai tazawa.
Wayafayai tazawa.
Al-Tazap Pawanyaka.
Al tazap pawanyaka.
Amarwa.
Amarwa.
Lakawa.
Lakawa.
Wanayakakidam. Wanayakakidam. Wanakakidam.
Wanakakidam.
Magoya.
Magoya.
Wala'a.
Wala'a.
Yazakar.
Yazakar.
Sham Yashala.
Sham Yashala.
Aiwad.
Aiwad.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Nawa'ai tazawa.
Nawa'ai tazawa.
Lab.
Lab.
Yakadwa.
Yakadwa.
Al Yaka.
Al Yaka.
Baryath.
Baryath.
Yakaratwa.
Yakarathwa.
Alahaya.
Alahaya.
Salakia. Ahaya. Salakia. Ahaya.
Aholia.
Adawama.
Adawam.
Waya Shama'alim.
Wama Shama'alium.
Mawa'aba.
Mawa'aba.
Wahagarium.
Wahagorium.
Gabal.
Gabal.
Salakia. Wa'aimawan.
Wa'aimawan.
Wa'amalak.
Wa'amalak.
Palashak.
Palashak.
I'm Yeshabia.
I'm Yeshabia.
Tazawar.
Tazawar.
Gam Ashawar.
Gam Ashawar.
Nalawa.
Nalawa.
Imam.
Imam.
Hayawa.
Hayawa.
Zarawai.
Zarawai.
Labanya.
Labanya.
Labanya Lawat.
Labanya Lawat.
Salah.
Salah.
Aisha.
Aisha.
Laham.
Laham.
Kamadian.
Kamadian.
Kasaya Asara. Salaka. Kasaya Sahara.
Kasaya Sarah.
Kayabian.
Kayabian.
Banya Salaka. Banya Call.
Banakal.
Koyashan. Salaka. Koyashwan.
Koyashwan.
Yashan Salaka. Yashamo. Nashamadwa.
Nashamadwa.
Vaya area da area. But Salaka. But Ayanda Ara.
Ba'ayanda Ara.
Hayawa.
Hayawa.
Daman.
Daman.
La Adama.
La Adama.
Shayatamwa.
Shayathamwa.
Nayada Abawa. Nadayaba Mawa.
Nadayamawa.
Ka'irab.
Ka'irab.
Wakazaba.
Wakazaba.
Wakazabak.
Wakazabak.
Wakatazamanai.
Wakatazamanai.
Call Sayakamwa. Call Nasayakamwa.
Kal Nasaya Kamwa.
Ashar.
Ashar.
Amawa.
Amawa.
Nayarasha.
Nayarasha.
Lanawa. Lanawa.
Lanawa.
Lanawa.
Lanawa. Ah.
Nawa.
Nawa.
Alahayam.
Alahayam.
Alahaya.
Alahaya.
Shayathamwa.
Shayathamwa.
Kagala.
Kagalgala.
Kakwash.
Kakwash.
Lapanya Rakwa.
Lapanya Kawa. Say it again.
Lapanya Rakwa.
Lapanya Rakha.
Lapanya Rakwa.
Rakha.
Lapanya Rakwa.
It's not Kwa, it's Ka.
Lapanya Rakwa.
Just Ka.
Lapanya Rakwa.
Lapanya Rakha.
Ka'ash.
Ka'ash.
Taba Ira Yaira.
Thaba Ira Yaira.
Wakalahaba.
Wakalahaba.
Dalahat.
Thalahat.
Haryam.
Haryam.
Khan. Tharadatma.
Tharadatma.
Basara Irika. Basa Irika.
Basa Irika.
Wabasawapatka.
Wabasawapathka.
Tabahalam.
Thabahalam.
Mala'a.
Mala'a.
Panyaham.
Panyaham.
Kwalawan.
Kwalawan.
Wayabakwashwa.
Wayabakwashwa.
Shamka.
Shamka.
Yahawa.
Yahawa.
Yabashwa.
Yabashwa.
Wayaba'awa.
Wayabahalwa.
Ayad
Ayad.
Wayaka Parawa.
Wayakaparwa.
Wayabadwa.
Wayabadwa.
Wayada'awa.
Wayada'aiwa. Kaya. Atha. Shamka. Yahawa.
Badka.
Labadka. Alyawan. Al. Kal. Haratazah.
The Wada Aman.
The Wada Aman. Psalms 83 in the English. Keep not thou silence, O Yahweh.
Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh.
Hold not thy peace.
Hold not thy peace.
And be not still, O Yahweh.
And be not still, O Yahweh.
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult.
Thine enemies make a tumult.
And they that hate thee.
And they that hate thee.
Have lifted up the head.
Have lifted up the head.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
And consulted against thy hidden ones.
They have said. Come.
And
let us cut them off from being a nation.
And let us cut them off from being a nation.
That the name of Israel.
That the name of Israel.
May be no more in remembrance.
May be no more in remembrance.
For they have consulted together with one consent.
For they have consulted together with one consent.
They are confederate against thee.
They are confederate against thee.
The tabernacles of Edom.
The tabernacles of Edom.
And the Ishmaelites.
And the Ishmaelites.
Of Moab.
Of Moab.
And the Hagarenes.
And the Hagarenes.
Gabal.
Gabal.
And Ammon.
And Ammon.
And Amalek.
And Amalek.
The Philistines.
The Philistines.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
Asher also is joined with them.
Asher is also joined with them.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
Salah.
Salah.
Do unto them.
Do unto them.
As unto the Midianites.
As unto the Midianites.
As to Sisera.
As to Sisera.
As to Jabin.
As to Jabin.
At the brook of Kassan,
at the brick of Kassan,
which perished and endured.
which perished and endured.
They became as dung for the earth.
They became as dung for the earth.
Make their nobles like Oreb,
Make their nobles like Oreb,
and like Zeb.
and like Zeb.
Yea,
Yea.
all their princes,
All their princes,
as Zabah,
as Zabah,
and as Amunah,
and as Amunah,
who said,
who said,
let us take to ourselves
let us take to ourselves
the houses of Yahweh in possession.
the houses of Yahweh in possession.
Oh, my power,
Oh, my power,
make them like a wheel,
make them like a wheel,
as the stubble before the wind,
as the stubble before the wind,
as the fire burneth the wood,
as the fire burneth the wood,
and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire.
and as the flames set the mountains on fire.
So persecute them with thy tempests,
So persecute them with thy tempest,
and make them afraid with thy storm.
and make them afraid with thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame,
Fill their faces with shame,
that they may seek thy name.
that they may seek thy name.
O Yahweh,
O Yahweh,
let them be confounded
let them be confounded
and troubled forever.
and troubled forever.
Yea,
Yea,
let them be put to shame
let them be put to
and
shame
perish,
and perish,
that men may know
that men may know
that thou,
that thou,
whose name alone
whose name alone
is Yahweh,
is Yahweh,
art the most high
art the most high
over all the earth.
over all the earth.
So be it.
So be it. The blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh.
Barakatah Yahweh.
Why Yahweh Shai.
Why Yahweh Shai.
Why Mayakala.
Why Mayakala.
Why Alahayim.
Why Alahayim.
Matazabia.
Matazabia.
Matazabia. Alawap Yahana.
Alawap Yahana.
Alawapyum.
Alawapyum.
Hasaranyum.
Hasaranyum.
Hakatazayanyum.
Hakwatazayanyum.
Hakayoyayum.
Hakoyayoyum.
Wahakwakin.
Wahakwathian.
Yahweh. Bashim Yahweh Shai.
Bashim Yahweh Shai.
The Wada Aman.
The Wada Aman in the English. Bless you, Yahweh.
Bless you, Yahweh.
And Yahweh Shai.
And Yahweh Shai.
And Michael.
And Michael.
And the angels.
And the angels.
Commanding General Yohana.
Commanding General Yohana.
The generals.
The generals.
The captains.
The captains.
The officers.
The officers.
The troopers.
The troopers.
And the sisters.
And the sisters.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it. Bless Israel in the Hebrew. Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai.
Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai.
Barak Lanawa.
Barak Lanawa.
Wayashala.
Wayashala.
Waha.
Waha.
Bayat Saparium.
Bayat Saparium.
Barak.
Barak.
Rapa'ah.
Rapa'ah.
Hagan.
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 Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai.
Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai.
The Wada Aman.
The Wada Aman. What we said in English was Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai. Bless us and Israel and the school. Bless, heal, shield, protect our loved ones in the name of Yahweh Shai. Thank you, so be it. The prayer of the curses. Blessed are you, Yahweh.
Blessed are you, Yahweh.
King of heaven and earth.
King of heaven and earth.
And all things living.
And all things living.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
In the name of Yahweh Shai.
Listen to us now.
Listen to us now.
Right now.
Right now.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the heathen.
To the heathen.
That speak against us.
That speak against us.
Thy prophets.
Thy prophets.
The teachers.
The teachers.
The princes.
The princes.
The priests.
The priests.
The Israelite brothers.
The Israelite brothers.
And the school.
And the school.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the heathen.
To the heathen.
And shake loose the treasure.
And shake loose the treasure.
Of the rich of Israel.
Of the rich of Israel.
That refuse to give to the school.
That refuse to give to the school.
Force their riches.
Force their riches.
To enter into thy sanctuary.
To enter into thy sanctuary.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the Edomites.
To the Edomites.
And the nations.
And the nations.
And their drug dealers.
And their drug dealers.
The court system.
The court system.
The prison system.
The prison system.
Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood.
All the governments of our enemies.
All the governments of our enemies.
Amalek synagogues and armies.
Amalek synagogues and armies.
Roman Catholic Church.
Roman Catholic Church.
The Pope.
The Pope.
Islam.
Islam.
Christianity.
Christianity.
Egyptology.
Egyptology.
Militia.
Militia.
Ku Klux Klan.
Ku Klux Klan.
Aryan Nation.
Aryan Nation.
Skinheads.
Skinheads.
Posse Comitazi.
Posse Comitazi.
The gay movement.
The gay movement.
The lesbian movement.
The lesbian movement.
Spies.
Spies.
Workers of witchcraft.
Workers of witchcraft.
NASA space program.
NASA space program.
Army.
Army.
Navy.
Navy.
Air Force.
Air Force.
Marines.
Marines.
Wall Street.
Wall Street.
Open up the internet.
Open up the internet.
And the airwaves.
And the airwaves.
The cable access channels.
The cable access channel.
And the radio channel.
And the radio channel.
Convict the spirit.
Convict the spirit.
Of any of thy people.
Of any of thy people.
That seek to stop us.
That seek to stop us.
And bring swift destruction.
And bring swift destruction.
To all the heathen.
To all the heathen.
That stand in the way.
That stand in the way.
Or try to stop us.
Or try to stop us.
From broadcasting your words.
From broadcasting your words.
Throughout the planet Earth.
Throughout the planet Earth.
Let loose all the plagues.
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 Cause them to go.
Cause them to go
To and fro.
to and fro
Through the earth.
through the earth
And consume them.
and consume them.
Let the plagues.
Let the plagues
Shake the house of the thief.
shake the house of the thief
And the murderer.
and the murderer.
Let Yahushua.
Let Yahushua,
Michael and Gabriel.
Michael and Gabriel
Come down with the flying saucers.
come down with the flying
And
saucers
punish all the heathens.
and punish all the heathens
That come up against us.
that come up against us
As we speak thy word.
as we speak thy word.
Cause it to be known by all.
Cause it to be known by all
That it is the angels that have done it.
that it is the angels that have done it.
Cause it to be spread through the media.
Cause it to be spread through the media
Throughout the whole world.
throughout the whole world.
Cause them to shake at thy coming.
Cause them to shake at thy coming.
In the name of Yahushua.
In the name of Yahushua.
Thank you always.
Thank you always.
So be it.
So be it.
Sar, which means to turn. Now you can say what you was gonna say.
Men of Israel, I guess what's
Give me the bind out.
kind, sir. We're going to give one courtesy salute
To the brothers.
to the brothers.
That's right.
To the brothers, men of Israel, Amajim Shabbat, Amadim, Barak,
Yahweh Shimi Yahushua Barakathon.
Yajamitah, men of Israel,
Sar,
Salaki, Sar,
which means to turn.
which means to turn, face the sisters. Men of Israel, we're going to give one courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Amajim Shabbat, Amadim, Barak,
Yahweh Shema Alatha Ba'ashim Yahushua.
Yajamitah,
Dismiss.
dismiss.